We want to welcome you all into episode 39 of Trojan Talk. I'm Zach Tarenko here with Jeff Christianberry and Cole Purvis as always. How you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Excellent.
It is actually a pretty warm morning. It didn't feel like we were getting into winter here in Saco, but still pretty cold outside. Before we get going into our kind of preseason preview episode for some of the winter sports, we want to give a shout out to a former TATV member and former TA student, Cal Cristoforo, who is a student at Syracuse, but just got a really awesome opportunity to be the broadcaster for the Cedar Rapid Colonels, the high A affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. I saw that he's going to do 132 games for them this summer when they play, so that's really awesome for him and a great opportunity because I know baseball was kind of his favorite sport or his calling, so that's awesome for him, and it's nice to see that some former TATV students are kind of branching out and getting some great opportunities.
Yeah, he's been over at Syracuse and has done a great job up there. No surprise, he's got a job in pro sports, and it's a long journey. I looked into it when I was in college as well, and I wasn't as accomplished as he was in college in terms of starting from scratch, but it's tough because that's a job that people want. I mean, people want to be broadcasting sports. It's a dream for a lot of people, so it's great for him to do that. He's worked very hard, and the plan right now is to have him and a special broadcast on January 5th with all the alumni of TATV broadcasting. So keep an ear out for that.
Yeah. So as I said before, we're going to get into the winter sports now. We are a couple days away. Actually, no, tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the day. Boys basketball plays Massabesic tomorrow at home. Girls are away. And then this weekend, the boys hockey team plays St. Dom's at Bedford Ice Arena. So we'll go through each team. We'll start with boys basketball. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on the team this year. We'll obviously go through our predictions at the end, but just give us your pretty quick summary of how you think the team looks this year.
Well, first off, I think it's important to mention how wide open Class AA South is. You have JP Estrella leaving South Portland. Then you have some unproven teams, and some teams are going to have to prove it, like TA, Gorham, South Portland, kind of the big three that we anticipate to be up there at the end of the year come the tournament time. It's going to be a high-powered, high-scoring offense that might get into the 70s, 80s on a regular basis. And, of course, Will Davies is going to have the public spotlight from around the state of Maine as he's kind of the favorite to win Mr. Maine basketball. But just talking to him, he's obsessed with winning a state championship. He cares about that way more than Mr. Maine, obviously, and I think that's the right mindset to have coming into the season. He's a great three-point shooter, and he's going to put on some great performances scoring the ball. But he can have off nights sometimes, and that's where the other aspect of his game comes into play, passing. He wants to lead the state in assists. I know that's something that he loves to do is pass the ball and share it, and he's got some other great shooters around him that he can do that. So if he's having an off night shooting, he can just dish it to his playmakers, and I think that's where he'll be even more lethal. And the question on this team is their defense. They lost Cody Bowker, who's a great defender from last year, as well as Anthony Jones and Cody Ruff in the paint. So defense is going to be a big question. Like I said, they might score 70-plus points a game, but will they give up that many as well? So it's going to be tough, and you need somebody on the perimeter to really step up on defense so Will can save his energy on offense. And I think Mac Lowe has to be big this year. He's going to get some time as really their best big man, their senior coming into this year, and he's going to have to be great at doing the dirty work, rebounding and shot blocking and all those things. So I just think the defense is going to be the biggest question. And then, of course, they have Braden Kamiri as well, who's also another sharpshooter. And then they have Josh Ney and Wyatt Benoit, who will also get some time. So they're very deep at the guard position, and it's going to be a super fun offense to watch this year. But the defense will come into question, certainly. And we'll get to our predictions later, but I have this team going pretty far.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to think, know the three big players. You'll have Will, you'll have Aleesio, and you'll have Braden. Those are the guys who played a lot last year and will return this year. It's who else is going to step up. And I definitely worry more about the front court than the back court in terms of having that depth because Cody Ruff is always somebody who didn't fill up the stat sheet, but I mean, honestly, sometimes it's had fouls to give, and you see that in the NBA and you see that in college. Like sometimes you just need a guy who's going to bang in there, and it's okay if he gets 3 or 4 fouls because he does all the other dirty work. He gets the rebounds, he gets blocks, he takes up space in the middle. So who's going to step up to kind of take that role? They need more than just Aleesio in there because you're going to face some other teams that, you don't have JP Estrella anymore, but there's some other teams with a lot of bigs as well that are going to bang inside. So it's going to be interesting to see in the first couple of games what the overall team strategy is. Like, we don't know exactly what Coach Davies has planned. Like, is there going to just be a run and gun? Are they going to try to, is defense going to – defense is always going to be important, but are they just going to try to outscore teams? because that's just the way that they're built, or 'cause the problem with that is I'm trying to think of the year, we had a team a couple maybe 6 or 7 years ago where we had a couple guys come in it was a big sharpshooting team. We had kids that were shooting from the Trojan head, and some nights they'd light it up and they looked like unbeatable, and then other nights they just didn't. And when you get to the playoffs, they just went down in flames because you just have an off night when you rely so much on the three, as we see in every level of basketball now. That can be really difficult. So certainly with Will, I mean, he can slash very easily and dish, but it's a matter of will someone make shots. Defensively, I think the depth is really important. You mentioned some other guys like Ney and Mac Lowe. I mean, those are names that we've seen in other sports, but they need to step up in this one. And I think it's going to be tough. The fact that it's wide open is really cool. I like that. I think it could be really good playoffs. Definitely going to be less buzz in general about Maine high school basketball this year after last year. I mean, we're already seeing, Cooper Flag is dominating already as a freshman at Mount Verde down there in Florida. So it's just it's just going to be, we're going to look back and say, like, wow, I can't believe that kid played in Maine in Class A, not even Double A, and JP obviously going to Tennessee. So, yeah, I'm excited to see the boys basketball season begin, and I also have a pretty good prediction about them later.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that there's still some questions for this team just because we don't know who's going to fill into what role yet. But before we get to any other sports, we'll have a couple of interviews. We'll start with the boys basketball starting point guard, Will Davies. We want to welcome in Will Davies for one of our interviews for this week's episode. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
So the first question I have for you are, what are the feelings like with you and your teammates in the locker room, going into this season?
We're definitely excited. We've got a lot of talent this year, so we're definitely looking forward to the season.
Nice. What is it like for you? Obviously you're a captain on this team. You're also a big leader, and you're a senior this year. So what's that like for you?
It's kind of the same, just like do a little more here and there, but I really don't try to dig deep into that too often.
Yeah. Is there a game or a point in the season that you're looking forward to this year?
The Portland game at home, that should be a lot of fun. They're good, and we only get to see them once, so I'm glad it's at home this year.
What is your favorite thing about being coached by your dad?
Probably that our minds are so similar. When it comes to basketball, we see the game very, very similar, almost exactly the same. So I think that's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah. Obviously, last year your team fell a little bit short in the playoffs, couldn't get to that state championship game. So what is something that yourself personally or your team is working on this year to try to get past that point?
One big thing for us is every night competing. Last year we took some nights off that we probably shouldn't have, lost some games we shouldn't have. So every night we have to come in and compete.
And so to finish this up, I want to do some rapid-fire questions for you. We've got about 8 or 9, and just as fast as you can, just right off the top of your head, give me the answer that you have. So we'll start off with, which do you like more, taking a three-pointer or a layup?
3.
Which do you like more, a morning game or a night game?
Night game.
Who's the best shooter on the team?
Braden Kamari, but I did beat him in a three-point contest
Nice.
once.
Best dunker on the team?
Aleesio.
Who on the team would you least like to guard one-on-one?
One-on-one, probably Wyatt, because he's got a deep bag.
Nice. Funniest teammate?
Oh, geez, there's a lot of them. I'd probably say Wyatt again.
Nice. Best sports drink?
Oh, I'm a BioSteel guy, but
Nice.
most people like Gatorade.
Yeah. What's your go-to pregame meal?
Steak and broccoli.
Nice. And to end it off, who is better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Michael Jordan, no questions asked.
Nice. All right. Well, we want to thank Will Davies for coming in for that interview, and good luck.
Thank you.
We want to thank Will Davies for coming in for that interview, and now we'll have our second interview, which is with also another boys basketball player. That's Aleesio Marcus.
All right, and thanks for Will Davies. Now we're here with Aleesio. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right, so season starts Friday. Obviously, you guys have waited 350 days or so to start this again. So just going into the season, I mean, you guys obviously lost. You returned a lot of great players, but you did lose a lot of guys like Cody, and Cody. So what is feelings going into the season as you're really on the precipice of your first game?
I feel like it's a lot of energy. We got a lot of new guys. We're kind of creating like a team chemistry, going through practices and stuff. So it's like a nervous feeling, but at the same time, like me, Will, we've been here before, so we kind of got a lot of chemistry between each other. And then we got Braden. I mean, we got a lot of guys that are still there creating that foundation. So the newer guys are coming into like a well-built foundation, I feel like, and we got an opportunity to be like a really great team this year.
Awesome. Now, the backcourt's going to be pretty similar to last year. You have Will and Braden back there kind of solidifying. The front court, obviously, you played a lot last year, but you are missing some other guys there, obviously, with Cody Ruff graduating. Yeah. What do you think? Does that put a lot of pressure on you, or do you see some other guys around you that are going to come in and maybe not score a ton, but at least get rebounds and blocks and everything else?
We have a lot of guys that are going to come in and they're going to score. I feel like a lot. We got a few guys that are coming in, especially bigs. Trey, Eddie. We got Josh. They're coming in. They're gonna kind of come in and fill in that gap. But we lost a lot with Cody. Cody Belker was a great defender. He was all over the court. We had Cody Ruff on the boards big time. So I had a lot of picking up to do as far as like rebounding and playing defense and kind of like being that like safety guy in like the back of like the back of the defense. So the other guys who come in, they're adjusting right away. So we're doing well. We're doing pretty well.
Let's talk about the pressure for a minute, just on the team. So last year was a crazy year in Maine basketball. You had Cooper Flagg's frenzy, Class A, and obviously JP Estrella was obviously had a lot of publicity. Those guys are gone now. So for TA, at least, you guys were like kind of the underdog last year. This year, it's a wide open Class AA, but you guys are really up near the top. What kind of pressure do you think that puts you guys under? That really a lot of people are picking you guys to either win or get close to winning this year.
There's a,
That just create some pressure.
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't realize that till now.
I wasn't even like thinking. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of pressure when it comes to like losing, or those guys going off, and then like just like this like power vacuum that comes in, and it's like who's gonna be like the big team, who's gonna be the big team. But honestly, I think Coach Davies always keeps us like just grounded. So we're always just like go out, play games, play hoops, and just go and play, and don't even think about any of the crowds, the media, or nothing like that. We just go and we play hoops, we practice, we play hard. Every guy in practice is always trying to beat the other guy in every single line drill. We're always just trying to compete at every single level. Every guy's gonna come in. So I don't feel like the pressure, at least for me, gets to me. Usually, I kind of focus on like the next play. So I'm not really ever focusing on like the amount of pressure that's in a game like that. I can remember last year I think it was the semifinals. I want to say that game was like, that was my first time being there. It was the first time being in that environment. That's the first time I ever really felt like a pressure where I was like, so many people there, like lights were just directly on the court, like open basketball. It was just crazy. So like that was the first time I ever really felt that pressure. But like right now, playing at like my home gym, I don't feel any pressure at all. Period.
Speaking of your home gym and the fans, you guys have obviously a great following in the student section, and I went to school here 20 years ago, and while we definitely went to a lot of games. Like, it seems crazy that nowadays, what is it like getting out there, not even so much at Linnell, but when you're on the road and you see 50 or 75 kids on a Tuesday night in January coming to support you guys? What does that feel like?
It feels really great. I never really, because I moved around a lot, so I never really had like a solid base of like friends, and like kind of seeing that amount of support just for like a basketball team is crazy. Like, I know we got like a solid, like you said, 50 to 75 people that usually show up to every single one of our games, which is absolutely crazy, and like love that. And it was a new feeling for me getting to high school and playing in that, but it was a little bit of pressure. It was like, I don't want to mess up in front of them. I don't want to do this and do that. But like at the same time, it was fun. It was so fun. I loved every second of playing.
As we kind of wrap up here, tell me one player that's on the team this year that we, being the general mass public, doesn't know about, but we're going to see a lot of them this year. Somebody that I think it's going to surprise a lot of people this year on the TA team.
There's so many guys. Like Rayon is like an amazing defender. He's going to be like that guy who's up and down the court, just playing his butt off, just going crazy, like just defending like insane. We got Trey, who's another big who came in. He's going to fill in. Obviously Mac. I feel like probably one of the standout players I feel like we're probably going to see a lot of is probably going to be Wyatt Benoit. He's going to be a scoring machine. He's like so like crafty with the ball, and just he just flips stuff in, it goes in. He's like always taking great shots. So I feel like we're gonna probably see a lot of like Wyatt this year. Probably everybody's gonna be like, "Who's that kid?" Like, who's that?
Exactly. Now we're gonna ask this to Will too, but it seems more appropriate for you. What is it like playing for Coach Davies? Like we only see him on the sidelines during the games, or see him in the hallways, and obviously kind of a quiet guy. But sometimes when basketball happens, it gets kind of intense. What is it like to play for him on a day-to-day basis?
He's definitely like a mentor figure. He's always like keeping everybody calm, cool, collected, and he's at the same time like always pushing to get the best out of you. So like if you mess up on a play, it's not like a beat down moment. It's not like you did this wrong. It's like, okay, you did this wrong. This is how you can fix it and then get back out there. Like I noticed that with me the first time I started playing for him. He would yank me out the game for doing something, talk to me really quick about it, and then put me right back in. So it was like he's always trying to teach, and it's less about like beating you up or trying to get you to like feel bad about yourself for making a mistake. He's always trying to uplift you, get you going. He's always trying to, and he does that with the entire team. So the entire team always feels like we always feel like a family just collected together. So I mean, playing for him, it's just like he's honestly one of the better coaches I've ever had in my life. So
awesome. And what would it mean for you guys, you and the other seniors, to win a state championship this year? And you guys had the experience last year of getting this to the Carson Insurance Arena. Didn't work out, but this year, what would it mean for you guys to go all the way?
It would mean a lot. It would mean a lot, especially for I think obviously like Will and Braden. It would mean a lot for the rest of the team. I'm more of a guy that just kind of want to make my team happy. When my team's happy, I'm happy. So if my team is like, we're all like, let's go win a championship, I'm gonna try my best to get everybody to go and win a championship. But it mean a lot to the rest of the guys to like win it. So
awesome.
I'm trying to facilitate that, get them going.
Awesome. Last question. We're going to ask this to Will as well. So, Mr. Davies was a pretty good basketball player in his own right. Mr. Maine basketball, played over in Europe. Who do you think, in his prime, let's take Mr. Davies in his prime, who wins a one-on-one matchup to 10? Will Davies or Coach Davies? In Coach Davies' prime. I don't know I haven't seen any footage of Coach Davies play from back in the day, but I've heard really good things.
I think
they're about the same size, too.
Yeah, about the same size. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna take Will. I want to say just because I haven't seen Coach Davies shoot a ton, and I know Will is just a knockdown shooter, so I'm gonna take Will. But I know Coach Davies will be giving him issues in the post, especially like he's gonna be like
backing him down.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, Coach Davies will go crazy.
All right, lastly, do you want to give any shout outs to your social media for people to follow you or check you out?
Instagram is Aleesio_1, and that's it. That's all I got.
All right, well, good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Awesome.
We want to thank Aleesio Marcus and Will Davies for coming in for those interviews, and then we'll switch it over to our girls basketball preview, and pretty much in the same boat as the boys basketball team. The Class AA is kind of open. There's not a lot of teams who look as strong as they did last year. Gorham obviously had a ton of seniors, teams like that. But again, same kind of thing. Give me your thoughts on this team where, obviously the only person that kind of left last year was Mackenzie Melendez. They still are bringing back almost the same roster. What do you guys think about this team this year?
They have a lot of pressure on them because this is supposed to be their year. They have all the pieces, especially the senior leadership with Jessica Dow was one of their top scorers last year. And then Addison Sulikowski comes in as one of the best shooters in girls basketball and can really do it all as well. As you said, they lost Mackenzie Melendez, so they need a new point guard, but they have some freshmen coming in that should take that spot. It's going to be a really dynamic team and a fun one to watch. It's kind of the same with the boys. It's just, can they shoot the ball? And if they have an off night, they are prone to getting upset. So we'll see. It's all about come tournament time what happens. They're going to get their footing in the first couple weeks of the season with some younger players starting, because you need somebody to play that point guard position. But it's really all about how are they shooting when the tournament comes around and how are they playing as a team. So they have huge expectations, as this is looking to be maybe their best year in a long time because they have all of the pieces this year. But we'll see if they can live up to it.
It's always interesting when you have one of these situations where you've had a good team over the last few years, but you're always kind of looking toward that 1 year, 2 or 3 years down the road when everything's going to come together, and then it actually comes here. First of all, you want to enjoy it while it's here because you You don't know how everything's going to work out. You don't know about injuries. But what I like about this team the most, and that's to put all the pressure on Coach Marston, which hopefully he watches this and see that, because don't blow it like he did in 2013.
Oh.
He knows what I'm talking about. For my documentary I tried to make. Anyway, so what's interesting about this team is they're kind of they have the depth. I mean, that's the thing. They don't have one superstar player. Yes, Dallin Sulikowski, both really good players, but they don't have that. You see sometimes in girls basketball, there's this one girl who just lights it up. But what I like about this team is that they have 3 or 4 girls who on any given night could score 20 points. So it's going to be about managing expectations early on. It's going to be about bringing in some of the new players. When you have someone bring the ball up the floor, it's a little bit different. And we may see someone else bring the ball up the floor too, like maybe a different person every night for the first couple weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see them struggle a little bit early in the season, and just to try to get their bearings, and then make a huge, deep playoff push. I could see that happening, of course. So bottom line is stay healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. Rack up some of the wins against the other teams. I think the other team to really watch is Cheverus in AA South. They look pretty good. And then, of course, over, I think it's Oxford Hills. Somebody in AA North, I saw on Twitter that people are saying looks like the favorite.
Cheverus is north.
They're north as well.
Oh, okay. That's who I saw.
So
okay.
there's not much competition, which is good for them.
All right. It was Cheverus was the other team that I saw a few people say, all right, they're bringing back a couple good players. So maybe don't be till states, obviously, that you see that. So I think it's all coming together for him. I do want a quick shout out too, and we'll mention this again, but the Hoops for Hope is on January 20th this year. I'm not sure if we're live streaming that game or not, but either way, we'll have the information on that. So that's always that's right near the end of the regular season too. So it's exciting times. I mean, both these teams are really competitive, and while we like that for TATV, so we get more viewers, it's also just fun to watch. The gym is going to be rocking this year. It's going to be the usual 90 degrees, and the girls basketball team can hopefully get some big crowds as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think the girls basketball has it's a good chance as well. Like the boys basketball, as you said, it's great that we have 3 competitive teams. And we'll talk about boys hockey now, who got to the state championship last year and lost in double overtime, which was kind of a shocker because they lost to Scarborough, who they had dominated in the regular season. It was a great run for them. They lost a ton of seniors, guys like Alex St. John, Kobe Bilodeau, their goalie, Gage Tarbox. So just quick thoughts on the boys hockey team. I know that they have a couple of kids transfer this year, one of them being Porter Krause. He's their goalie for this season. Just thoughts on the team. I mean, obviously they had some younger guys who contributed last year, but where do you think they might end up this year?
I mean, they're going to be good. I think it's going to be so tough to replicate last year. And when you lose some of the players like they did, it's just hard to replace that. It's not just the goals and the assists and everything else. It's the passion. It's the leadership off the ice. And you get a few transfers come in, and that helps. But maybe the goalie position is a little less important. That they're kind of new to the team, because that's really more of an individual position. So I think losing, what's the guy's name? I forget the guy.
Gage.
No,
Alex St. John.
Alex St. John, thank you. Losing Alex St. John, you saw it in football as well, and you'll see it in lacrosse as well. He was just one of those guys that was just a leader on the field, and he wasn't the most vocal guy, that's for sure, knowing him from the dorms. But just he was like the dependable guy. Like, we need something, you need a hit, you need a goal, you need an assist. He was there to do it. So I think replacing him is going to be a massive task for them. So I mean, certainly they're going to be near the top again of Class A. Can they go back to the state championship? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And even last year, I mean, that was, I don't want to say a Cinderella run, but they weren't the favorites going all the way through that either. So that was a really big chance. I'm still upset I missed that game, because that sounded like the state game was crazy, and they really had a great chance to win the state championship. And you don't always get those opportunities, especially in hockey, because any given night a goalie can stand on their head or just have a bad night, and that's it.
Yeah, I think they'll be near the top again, and what I've heard is nobody's going to be as good as Gage Tarbox Belanger was last year, because he was awesome for them. But I think they get the transfer coming in, and that should fill that position pretty well. And they're going to be able to score goals. Evan Bodette is going to be their main goal scorer. I know he had one in the state championship last year. They had a little preseason scrimmage. They played it was 22-minute games that I went to the other night, and they looked pretty good. They tied Biddeford, and then they beat South Portland, I think. So they're going to be pretty good this year, but again, they don't have the firepower that they did last year, and they couldn't even win it all last year, which was tough. Like I said about girls basketball, it's all about how you play come the playoffs, because I remember they beat Scarborough 6-0 in the regular season last year, and then lost to them in the state championship. So I just think it's about getting right and not having a bad day in the playoffs, and they should be pretty solid again.
Yeah, they should be. we'll finish up our preseason preview kind of episode, or not episode but our section of this episode with unbiased predictions. So yes,
this gets us in trouble.
Yeah. So for those listening, this is unbiased. Now, obviously, if we were, all of us love Thornton Academy. We work, Jeff works here. We go here. Like there's a reason we love this school. But unbiased, we're gonna give our true predictions. We'll go around the table. We'll start with boys basketball. Cole, give us your prediction on where they're gonna end up this year.
There are some things about this team that I don't trust, but when you look at the other teams, and I don't want to overreact to the preseason, but South Portland got blown out by Oxford Hills about a week ago, and TA just went in and beat Oxford Hills. I know it's the preseason, but still, South Portland, they lost a lot of guys, and I don't know if they're going to be able to prove it this year. And then Gorham, I think they're good as well, but I don't think it's their time. And again, I want to say I picked against TA in the football state championship, so I don't just pick them every time. But I think that TA is going to the state championship this year. They'll win the South, and then they will lose to either Oxford Hills or Cheverus, whoever makes it from the North in the state championship.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I want to echo a lot of what you said. I do think South Portland's going to be still very tough, even though they don't have, obviously, Estrella. But I think the boys cruise through the South. I mean, I think I could see South Portland getting upset early on, even before they even play TA. Mm-hmm. When you go to states, boy, I think it's so hard because Oxford Hills is really good too. But I think they pull it out. I think they beat Oxford Hills in the state championship and take it home first title. It's just it's such a story having Coach Davies' son on the team and after last year. I think it'd be awesome. So I'm picking them to win states this year.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that I think they cruise to the state championship game. I don't think that's an issue at all.
If they stay healthy, they should. I mean, not to say they should, and not to put the extra pressure on them, but they have the talent to beat everybody in Class AA South.
In the state championship, I don't know.
Like we're predicting one game like 3 months from now.
Yeah, it's so tough because I've only seen Tegan Pelletier play once, and that was last year. And
he was good.
He was good. I haven't seen how he's progressed, though. So I'd have to do a little bit more maybe research to see where that Oxford Hills team is. But I think no matter what, it'll be a close game. I think they could pull it out this year with the state championship. All right, now girls basketball predictions.
I don't mind going first. We'll switch it up so we'll put the pressure on you.
Right.
For girls basketball, again, I think the South. I don't know. I just get a feeling they're going to struggle a little bit early on. I could see them being 2-2 or 3-3 to start, and then kind of plow it through their schedule near the end. And again, I also think they're going back to the state championship. Could they beat someone like Cheverus? Yes, go for it. Yes. I'm all in. I'm all in, Coach Marston. You call me up when you need me to videotape some stuff. But I think the fact that the most of these players have been playing together for so many years, they don't really have to break in too many new players. It just feels like it's all coming together. And again, it'd be another good story because this team has never won a state championship in girls basketball, and it's been 7-8 years since it went to states. And I think they can do it again this year. Just got to stay healthy. That's the only thing.
Mm-hmm. I really didn't want to do this, and I promise you I'm not being biased, but I'm trying to think of a reason why the girls' team can't make it to the state championship, and I look at the South, and it's kind of weak. There's Scarborough's okay. I think Gorham was good last year, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if they're still going to be.
They have somebody, but they're not.
All their starters were seniors.
Yeah.
Most of their bench players that played were seniors.
So, and the thing that you said earlier that I like is that if they have an off night, if one person like maybe Sulikowski has an off night or Dow has an off night, they have multiple people that they can go to. They're not a one-dimensional offense at all. They're such a complete team, and they, like you said, they've been playing together for a long time. So I am predicting for both the boys and the girls that they lose in the state championship.
Wow.
Because I think that Cheverus is too good. They have some of the best players in the state.
I think my hope is Cheverus doesn't get there.
Or Oxford Hills. So
yeah, true.
It could be TA Oxford Hills or TA Cheverus on both the boys and the girls side. So TA boys and girls lose in the state championship. And before the girls basketball team gets mad at me, I predicted you guys to go to the state championship, which is pretty good.
It was interesting though because there was a game or two last year where it was a Jessica Dow that just had horrible shooting nights for Thornton Academy. Like she was like 1 or 2 for 15, but they still were able to overcome it most of the time. And that was a good building process last year for them. Like, and not saying she's gonna do it again this year, hopefully. But I remember talking to Coach Marston, it's just like you just feel bad because sometimes these great players just have off nights and you can't really explain why. So I think that they're just well positioned to be able to kind of take that on if they have a bad night.
I disagree with Cole in the state championship game. My hot take is that all this hype for Chevrolet, I know Matty Fitzpatrick is a great player, so is Emma Lazat. The hype is overrated. It's too much. I think that this TA team has enough depth. I think they have a lot of great players, and again, like some of the issues they had last year, I think they're going to work out early in the season. I think it's a state championship winning team, and I don't think there's one question about it in the playoffs at all. I think they run every team out in the playoffs.
That never happens.
This is my hot take.
I don't know.
I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
All right, we'll finish up with hockey. I guess we'll change it up.
Hockey,
I'll go first. Seeing this team most of last year, it was a great team. I know a lot of the players like Jacob Marcotte, Evan Beaudet, Shane Bergeron. They did a lot of contribution last year, but you could see that guys like St. John and Tarbox Belanger were the big pieces in the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs easily. I think they are a high seed, but a regional final loss, semifinal loss, maybe a state championship. It's tough to see right now because the boys hockey, their schedule is a lot different. They play teams from all over, from different classes, so you never know what you're going to get for a record. So I guess it's tough. I think probably a regional final loss is my guess.
Yeah, it's so tough because hockey, you don't see them all the time, obviously, because they're not on campus, and sometimes there were some seasons where I didn't know how good they were, and they just rack up wins, and all of a sudden I look and they're 10-2 or something like that. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the ceiling, is maybe the regional final, and not really knowing too much about some of the other teams. Unless somebody steps up. I mean, they just need that it factor, and they certainly, they have a lot of time to do that. So I would say regional finals is probably what will end up as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same team as last year, and I can't see this team getting the state championship. For me, I'm between a regional semifinal loss and a regional final loss, but they'll be solid, above average, but I don't think a state championship's really in their sights.
They're probably the team of the three we talked about that I really would not be surprised if they did something. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in the first round or maybe went to states. Whereas I think we're pretty confident boys and girls basketball, unless something drastic happens, both of them should be easily in the regional final, if not state championship. That's kind of where their floor is, I think, is the regional final. Whereas hockey, they really could be all over the place.
Yeah. So we got a couple more topics here. These ones are moving away from Thornton Academy before we end this episode. We'll quickly talk about Xander Bogaerts, if you missed it, which I don't know how you missed it. Xander Bogaerts is going to the Padres. It's 11 years, $290 million?
$280 million, I think.
$280, something like that. Quick thoughts. What do you think about it? What do you think about Bogaerts leaving the Red Sox?
Okay, so I'm not a baseball fan, really. I was a Sox fan when I was in college when they won in 2004. So that was my time. I've really been... first of all, baseball in general, I just don't love baseball anymore because of all the reasons that it's boring and everything else. So for me, it's a little, I chuckle a little bit, and it's not because my friends are suffering today. It's because of the ownership, and I just find it so ridiculous. Yes, okay, so they overpaid for Xander Bogaerts. I get that. But they had a chance. He wanted to be here. This is not one of those things where it's like this is like Aaron Judge, basically. Mm-hmm. Same situation. He wanted to be a Yankee. The Yankees, they offered him a deal. Judge decided to go, bet on himself and end up winning, but he ended up coming back, and the Yankees matched that offer. It's a ridiculous offer. It's going to be horrible for the last 6 years of that contract. For the Red Sox, they just said, you know what, this is their new policy. They have a new general manager, and new in the last couple of years, the ownership. I mean, don't tell me this is not a salary cap. League. You can pay as much as you want. The Red Sox are still making tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in profit a year. I'm sorry, but you pay for that homegrown talent. You've lost Mookie Betts now. You've lost Xander Bogaerts. Not only are you losing homegrown talent, but this team, even signing Xander Bogaerts, I mean, there's no guarantee they're going to be better again in next year. I mean, if you sign Bogaerts and Devers, you're still the same team that was in last place last year. It's absurd. It's laughable that John Henry can allow this to happen for his franchise. I mean, I know some friends who said, we're not going to buy Sox tickets this year. They estimated about $13 million last year in lost revenue of tickets because they didn't sell out every game. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to get worse this year when people are investing money in T-shirts and jerseys for all these homegrown players, and they just let them walk out. They offered a ridiculous 4-year, $90 million contract before last year. I mean, it's just laughable. You're worth, if you have enough money to spend billions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions, to buy a franchise, mm-hmm. then you can pay a little bit extra for a homegrown player, and now they're a laughing stock in this market in the country.
Yeah, it's just sad. Xander's been with the organization since
He was in Portland. He played
2013.
Portland. I saw him there.
I think 2013 is when he got the call up, and he played the postseason with the Red Sox, and he's given us so many great memories. It's just almost as bad as when Mookie Betts left. You know, you just think about all the great memories that he gave us, part of World Series championships. I think we have to recognize that first and just thank him for being such a great face of the franchise for a couple years. And but Chaim Bloom, the GM, it's been a frustrating couple days as a Red Sox fan because they're so close. They're like the second or third team to get some of these stars, but they just get outbid. And it's frustrating to see these guys leave, and we hope Devers is not next. We hope that they pay him. And, it's going to be – it's been frustrating to watch him as a GM. I know he made a couple of good moves yesterday, but this is the big one that he let Xander get away. And like you said, I don't think Xander was like – dying to leave Boston, and he just wanted his money, and the Red Sox weren't giving it to him. So it's sad to see Xander go, but you got to move on. And I can't. I mean, baseball's kind of random, so they could be good out of the blue. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you have to assume they're going to give some money to Devers. They can't let Devers.
You got it, but then where does that leave you? If you're already tight on money and you pay Devers, you don't have any money for anybody else, and your team is still way behind some of the other teams in the East.
All right, to finish up this episode real quick, I want to get your predictions on the winner of the World Cup. So we're in the quarterfinals now. Those should be this weekend, I believe.
Friday and Saturday, yeah.
And then the semifinals are Monday, Tuesday of next week, I think. And then it's like Thursday or something. It's the final. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup?
Okay, quickly, I'll give 20 seconds on the U.S. I give the U.S. a B for their World Cup performance. Great to get out of the group stage. They only scored 3 goals, and one of them was a real fluke.
Yep.
So when you look forward for Berhalter, should not get a new contract. I'm sorry, he did not deserve it. And now that stories are coming out on how crazy it was, he got the job. Is basically his brother was in charge of the hiring process, and Berhalter had no success at the club level really, and got that job. He's fine, but they need to bring this team, because this team should be one of the best teams in the world in 4 years, considering how young everybody is. So I give them a B. Disappointing loss to Netherlands, but is what it is.
Yep.
It's been a good World Cup.
Yeah.
Despite being in a horrible place.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for episode 39 of Trojan Talk. I want to thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next week.